All right, what's up, guys? So I told you I wanted to get this video out tonight. Put up the LinkedIn post if you guys haven't seen it, and just ask for some questions because I'm out here in Montana. Haven't had a lot of time to to really do any videos or anything because we've been absolutely hammered. So I'm at the VRBO tonight, and we're going to put some videos together or put a video together here answering some of your questions. So basically, all what I asked was, I've been doing a ton of talking, but I'm kind of out of things to talk about, and I asked some questions. So I'm just going to go down through these real quick. Um, so, and I'm not going to call anybody's name. I'm just going to go in order of the questions that were asked. But um, the first question was, how do you manage the time between your major projects? And I actually answered that one, but I'm going to go in a little bit in depth. So basically, what he asked was, when we have downtime between projects, do I sell and immediately stack up? By the way, sorry about the safety glasses. My regular glasses are still in the vehicle. Um, but do we stack projects back to back? And we do try to be efficient with that when we have projects going on. But um, there are times where we have 2 or 3 weeks between, and so we try to use that time for training for the guys, or for myself or the younger guys or whatever. Um, but at the same time, I really do when I mean that, I want my guys to enjoy their life with their families and stuff. Um, we pay we pay a 40-hour week salary. I mean, my guys are hourly, but we pay them a 40-hour week to be at home with their family if it's a downtime because one we are very profitable in what we do. You've heard me speak of that before, so we can afford to do that, and we're small, so I don't have a ton of overhead. That's why I don't want to grow any larger. Um, but I can take my guys and give them a week off, and they go to the beach and they're still getting paid for it. So that's what we try to do there. That's not going to change with what we do because we want a real honest work life balance. And I kill my guys when we are working out on the road. It's 60, 70, 80 hours a week. We go out and some of these things have to be done immediately. And for the most part, they've got my back 100%. So when it's time to be down, then we take that downtime down, and they get paid for it, and we go on. So anyway, so that's the answer to the first question. Um, the second question is, and this is actually my favorite question that was asked, is he said that he would love to hear my opinion on who we think the first hire should be, whether it's sales, technical, anything else. Obviously, this depends on the company, but he'd like to hear it from my side as an integrator. Well, I can actually answer that in a broad scope because it's not. I don't just own an integration company. I also deal in real estate and have stuff going on there. I'm a real estate agent that I don't do a lot anymore with it, um, but anyway, so we've got some other things going on. But I can tell you. So the first thing, if you look at the 80/20 rule and the name that it's named after escapes me right now, the guy that kind of discovered it. But if you look at the 80/20 rule, essentially what it says is 80% of your outcome is derived from 20% of your efforts, right? So 80%, if we're talking about revenue or we're talking about income, 80% of your revenue and 80% of your income is coming from 20% of your actions. So what you need to do is you need to first off list what that 20% is, and then anything that is within your business that is taking up the most time that is not in that 20% needs to be delegated out. You need to hire somebody to do it. So, for example, for me, the biggest thing that we hired out was clerical and HR stuff. Um, that was the first thing because the paperwork sucks. It takes hours and hours and hours to do it. I still do the quotes and stuff like that, but payroll, taxes, we brought a CPA firm on retainer, and they do all of our monthly taxes and stuff, and we don't have to handle any of that. They are directly linked to our QuickBooks account. Um, they take care of everything that we have to do there. So that's that. The second thing that we tried to do is we tried to free me up because um, the bulk of our revenue, obviously, and our profit comes from me selling projects, right? So if I'm building projects or programming projects, then we are not as efficient as we could be because I can hire somebody. And I've talked about this before. Let's say that my company does, I don't know, let's say it does $1 million a year. I'm just using an example. Let's say my company does $1 million a year. Okay. Then in 2,000 hours, it comes out to what, 500 an hour. So let's say that my time, me selling, earns the company 500 an hour. Okay. Why on earth would I hesitate to hire somebody at 40 or 50 or $60 an hour to do the programming or the panel building or whatever, um, if if I'm making 500 an hour off the sales, I need to be spending my time 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, whatever, driving that sales, driving that customer relationship, driving that next project, bringing that next project to fruition. That's what I need to be spending my time doing. So the short answer is sit down, make a list of the things that are not making you money. Paperwork is not making you money unless it's invoicing, and but then it's really not making you money. It's just a paper trail of getting paid, right? So figure those things out, and that's the first things you get rid of, and you get rid of those in order of what you're spending the most time on now. So if you're spending 16 hours a week doing paperwork and stuff like that, then hire somebody clerical. Now, as far as sales goes, sales is almost always going to be the driver of your business. You're going to have to sell, right? I mean, everybody, that's the biggest misconception people have. I don't care if you're a dentist or you're a lawyer or whatever, you are going to have to sell. You can't survive any other way. So, and that's the biggest problem that people have is they go into their profession, whether you're an engineer by trade or, like I said, you're an orthopedist or whatever. Um, they don't realize that they have to find clients. They have to somehow prospect for clients. They have to get clients. They have to do the work. Um, so, I would say that sales is something that I would hire, but at the same time, I'm going to be honest, guys. I just can't find salespeople that can close or do the job as well as what I can do for my company. Now, a lot of that's not being fair because my clients have been clients for a long time. I'm very personable and I'm very good at bringing a room to calm and ease, and I have a very, very technical background. um, so I can go as in depth and technical as they want to go with the conversation. It's hard to find that in a sales guy, right? But it's also the part that makes it really unfair is the fact that I can go in and say that I own the automation company and I can cut a deal right then. I don't have to wait for approvals. I don't, so for example, the last job that we were on for Toyota, they came to us several times when they had something kind of hot that come up or an issue that come up. Instead of going to another company that was there, they would come to us, and the reason they came to us is because they knew that when they came to James that they could say, hey, we're in trouble, we need a guy for a couple of days to take care of this, and I would immediately say, yes, we can do that. It's going to cost this much, and I'll get you a quote this afternoon, and we'll go ahead and start the work. You worry about getting a PO to me in the next few days, but we'll start the work today to get you out of a bind. um, and they learned that they could do that with us, and that's why we got more and more work as we were going on with them. So that should be the answer to that question is really sit down and look at what's costing you money, and if you can fill that role for a tenth of what you make on the sales side of your business, then you're crazy not to fill that role immediately. I mean, don't put yourself headed towards bankruptcy because you take on somebody with a massive salary. But if you need to get rid of that off of your plate as soon as you possibly can, um, period. That's the answer. Get rid of the things that are not producing you income. The 80/20 rule. Look at it. Sit down and assess your business properly and go from there. Okay. So the next question is regarding a business and children. So um, she said, regarding having a business and small children, am I going to die? Which I kind of thought was hilarious. But so the answer to that is I don't know how to answer that question because I have a good support structure. I have a wife that she now works for my company. She was a social worker for a while, for a long while. She worked for the state of Tennessee, but recently, within the last 6 months, she came to work for me as my HR person because I needed to hire somebody. I got tired of doing the paperwork and stuff, and we were growing leaps and bounds with employees and stuff, and so she took over that role. But we've had a phenomenal support structure with my two children, with my mother and my stepfather. They live, about a block away from us. We did that on purpose. They love having my kids there. My kids are homeschooled, so it's very easy for us to take the children with us if I go on the road. They were out here a couple weeks back with me in Montana. Um, so we've kind of organized our life around the fact that I am the CEO or president or owner, whatever it may be, of an automation company that produces really high level incomes for us, but also is very demanding. And my wife has dedicated herself to being the supporting role of the work that I do. It kind of dawned on us that I was making more, and please don't take this the wrong way because I don't mean to sound like it's not a brag. I'm not saying that, but I was making more in a week or in a couple weeks than she was making in a year being a social worker. and it just come to the point where we realize that it's insane. Her entire year's wages wouldn't cover a month of my taxes, right? So she was working all this time and it was really stressful. And she loved her job. She was an adoption specialist and she was placing babies with new homes and she really loved what she was doing. But it was just one of those things where it didn't work out for her financially. It couldn't work for us anymore. And it was much more essential for me to have my family with me and not be lonely on the road on some of these projects that are months long and are going to be months long, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, so I wish I had a better answer for you. I think it depends on your structure. If you're doing really high level work and you're making really good money and you want to put your children in daycare or you have a daycare that you can trust, then I think it really makes life easier. With young children, we had a problem with daycares, and I'll just be honest with you. We had a problem with daycares because we were afraid that our children who couldn't speak at the moment and couldn't talk at the moment, that they couldn't tell us if somebody was mean to them. And I mean that was really a problem for us, and so we couldn't do that. So my mother, stepped up. That's what led to my mom, taking care of the kids during the day because I could trust that my mother and my stepfather would take care of my children, and so we had that. So I can't say I wish I had a better answer for you, but I can tell you that when your business is going and things are on the non-startup side, when you're no longer, you know, spending all your time at work and all your time dealing with clients and all this stuff, when you start getting that work-life balance a little bit, it's the greatest thing ever. Because right now, Eric, my partner, is sitting across the table from me right now. Um, if I want to take a month off, Eric's got the reins, and vice versa. So if we want to take a month and go somewhere, my kids are homeschooled. We don't have to wait for a spring break or anything. We just go, right? And it's the same with him. So lately, we've been absolutely slammed, and we haven't been able to do any of that because we've been working ourselves to death. But normally, that's the way we would do it, right? So anyway, so that's the answer to that question. So here's some technical stuff. A lady asked, what my thoughts are on Beckoff in the American market. So I can't say really. I haven't used a lot of Beckoff stuff in the past. I do know it's Codisys based, and I love Codisys. I mean, I think it's absolutely going to take over and dominate the PLC market in the next 10 years. I think it will become the Windows of PLC pack platforms, especially as we go more integrated into the Industry 4.0 stuff. I know that Snyder TIA, or I'm sorry, with Siemens TIA Portal, which I'm not a Siemens integrator, so I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about it, but I know it's really strong on the same thing. Alan Bradley's really a step behind. I'm a control logics guy. I've been an Alan Bradley guy since I was a teenager, and started out right at the tail end of PLC 5. Really come on in 500 and RS500. Did a lot of projects that in my early 20s. Of course, have come on up in the studio, and now I'm certified and all that. We do a lot of work with Studio 5000, and I love the software package. I love it, but they are, they're lagging a little bit on what the capabilities are of some of these Codisys-based stuff. I mean, PLC Next with Phoenix, I haven't got one yet because we've been trying to get one in, and they're kind of back ordered and having some trouble. But I mean, that thing is just phenomenal with what you can. I mean, you can program it in C or C sharp or C plus plus or whatever, and go from there. Another one that I really like that a lot of people don't do a lot with is Opto 22, the Groove stuff. I like the older stuff, so I like the Snap Pack stuff from Opto 22. It's really good stuff. Um, but the new Groove stuff, I'm anxious to get my hands on some of that because it's an impressive piece of technology. So there's a lot of that going on. As far as Beckoff goes, I can't say. I haven't dealt with the Twin Cat and all that. I just haven't used it. So I wish I had more info on it that I give it to you. But I do know that it's Codisys based, and anything Codisys based I'm going to like because it's it's just a powerful piece of software and a platform. I do know that Beckoff, some of their IPCs and stuff from what I've read are just out of this world. So I would think, if you have, I think the biggest downfall that you're going to have with them that I can see right now is finding the distributor that can support your clients after you sell a system to them. So if you integrate a system and they need an input card or an output card, they don't want to have to wait 6 weeks on an input or output card to get here. They need to be able to go to the local blah electrical outlet and be able to get that. If you have that in your area, then by all means. If you don't have that in the area, here's a thing that you should look at. If you don't have a distributor in the area, think about becoming that distributor, right? Um, you can become a quasi distributor. So this is something that I talk about a lot, is the relationship I have with Snyder. Is we are not a Snyder distributor. We buy through Rexel and now through Gray Bar. In East Tennessee. But the thing is, we still have enough room to put a markup on our product, and we keep a lot of what we use on the shelf for our clients that'll call and tell me that they need a PLC for X machine, and then we go ahead and put the program in it and send it to them. So while we're not a distributor for Snyder, obviously we still carry a lot of Snyder products on hand, right? So we're making money off of that when you sell it. So um, and that's actually a question later on down that I'm going to go in more in depth to. But if you don't have a Beckoff distributor around you, um, reach out and try to find a master distributor and see if you can't become that. I mean, it could be a phenomenal resource that you can sell to your clients and have a revenue stream that you haven't thought of before. So that would be my answer for that. Um, so I've got another one. He says he'll ask a selfish question. No one talks about it. How do you, your business, and your learning, I'm sorry, your team stay organized to ensure good project outcomes? And this is where I like to stay small. This is the whole reason we stay small. Um, when you get to the point, I mean, you're never going to see me be up there at that 100 million a year level or whatever. We're just not. I don't want to be there. I have no desire. Um, and the reason is right now, all of the projects that we take on, I'm either quarterbacking that project or Eric is quarterbacking that project, or we both know enough about it to where either one of us could step in at any time and take that project over and see it to fruition, right? Um, it gets a little hectic sometimes. Like right now, we've got a big project. We're wrapping up in Montana, but it ran about 3 weeks late because they added some stuff and there were some issues here when we got here that were out of our control that we had to work with. So we're running a little late on that, but we're going to bump right up against a Toyota project that's starting for us on November the 9th. And we're probably going to have to split off. And Eric take the Toyota project for a couple weeks. I wrap up in Montana, and then I head out to Toyota with him. So, um, we're so small as a company that we don't have the organizational issues that a lot of companies have. So, if you're talking about a team of 20 or 30 engineers that are mechanical engineers and electrical engineers, and you've got all these people that have to work together, I'm just not that guy to be able to quarterback all that and keep that project management going forward. It's really not. It's not my. It's just not my expertise, man. So I wish I had a better answer for you than that. But we specifically stay small for that reason, and I wouldn't take on that kind of project. I would happily be a part of that project, but I wouldn't try to manage that project because it's not. I mean, we're machine builders. We're not project managers. So we have group calls, group meetings every day with my team. Um, we talk constantly about what's going on. Everybody knows what is expected and what the due dates are, and like I said, my books are open, so my guys know what kind of money we make. We do a lot of profit share stuff. Everybody knows everything about our company. We don't shut anything down. I don't hire people who are going to have a problem with me making a large amount of money. If at the end of the year you see that I made $1 million and you're upset because I made $1 million when I paid you 130,000 or 140,000 to integrate for me, then you need to go somewhere else because I'm not going to be apologetic for that. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to pay you very well. I'm going to pay you very fair. You're going to get great bonuses. You're going to get, unlimited vacation. You're going to get health insurance paid for you. That's the things that we offer. But I'm in this to excel the best I can and still have a good work-life balance. So I tell people that in orientation, I tell people that in interviews when they come and talk to me is I'm going to show you what I'm making, and if it offends you, don't come here because I'll just cut you loose. That's just the way it is. Um, if you feel like you should be making as much as I am, then go start an automation company and take the risks that I'm taking with the 70 or 80 or $90,000 a month worth of overhead that I've got to cover every month. You know, and I'm just honest. I mean, I believe in telling people the way it is. So luckily, my guys, you know, they know that I've got their back. I mean, Jake out here, he come down with COVID last week, and he's going back to work hopefully Tuesday. He's finally in the clear and he's healthy, and but we had to quarantine him out here, and he's still going to get paid every hour that we worked out here. I'm going to pay Jake for. Why? Because it wasn't Jake's fault that he got sick out here. So I'm not doing some government handout where he gets X amount of dollars per week or whatever that was for 10 days. I'm not. He's going to get his pay. If we work 60 hours last week, then I'm paying him 60 hours last week, and because he was in quarantine. But you know what? He was here. The man took his time to come out here and work with us, and that's just the way it is. He's going to get paid his per diem. He's going to get paid his room. He's going to get paid the whole thing, and he's going to still make bonus on the end of this project because we are family. When I tell people that we're family here, that's what I mean. I will take care of you if something happens. Period. That's the way it is. So anyway, so that's the answer to that question. Um, so here's a question about what do we do when we've reached the maximum workload or contracts? Do you stop taking work or do you move forward with third party managing others? We never stop taking work ever. Um, if we can't shift the work around to make it work, then I've got a phenomenal network of about 30 different contractors that I've worked with for a while, um, who will step in and take those projects. And the other thing is, sometimes I don't manage those. Hey, Eric, can you turn that light back on? Hold on. He turned the light out on me. Yeah, sorry. You're good. All right, there you go. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, but you know, I don't even I don't even manage those projects lots of times unless it's for a client that is really a really close client to us, which I mean a lot of my clients are. But lots of times is I'll just call somebody up and say, hey man, kick me back 5% finder's fee on this or something, and take this project and run with it. This is what they need done, and like I said, a lot of our projects are small. We specialize in small budget automation systems. So um, but if we are getting swamped and covered up with work, I have no problem bringing in. I don't have competitors. You've heard me talk about it a bunch. I have collaboration, and I believe in collaboration and working together. I don't believe in competition. So it's bit me a few times. I've lost some clients that went to some people that I put in there, and that sucks. But over the grand scheme of things, for every 10 cents that I or for every dollar that I lost, you know, to something like that, I've made $100 or $1,000 from really good contracts or really good contacts and good working relationships. So I have no problem handing that out. So basically, I don't turn down work unless it's absolutely necessary. I mean, we have turned down some contracts recently because I have everybody that I have along with my contractors working right now. I mean, everybody that I can get my hands on, I'm sticking somewhere. Um, and the difference is, we don't take on contracts that are like we're not like quasi headhunters, I guess you'd say. I'm not sending people and placing them somewhere, um, and just making an overage off of them. Like if it's a project that I'm using guys on, it's an Appalachian automation project, or it's a project that they're just paying me a finder's fee for because I put them on that project. I don't do the I don't do the headhunting type thing. So hope that helps. Anyway, um, so another guy wants to know, in the tight job market, what are we doing to attract candidates and then retain them? Well, I mean, attracting candidates is not really something we're having to do because we're kind of full up. Um, we, I mean, we may bring on one more before the end of the year that we're thinking about right now. I'm not sure, but and as far as retention goes, I mean, it just goes to the fact that we treat them like family. I mean, there's no time clock. We don't believe in time clocks. I don't care what time you work or what time you don't work, as long as the work gets done. Um, we offer things like we have the free snack bar that has everything under the sun, every drink you can think of, whatever. Um, we've got unlimited vacation. I don't care if you take vacation as long as we're not in the middle of a job. If you want to take a week and take your kids to the beach, you're going to get paid. Go. I want you to go. I want you to do those things. Um, and so, when you look at everything we're offering, I mean, we don't pay as much as what some other integrators pay, but when you look at in the grand scheme of things of what we offer and the fact that we sincerely care about our employees and their well-being and making sure that they're taken care of, it's not hard to retain people. So that's kind of that. I mean, I don't really we don't do a whole corporate. We just don't have a corporate thing. We're not that way. We're a small company and it runs like a family business, and it is what it is. So, all right. Another guy asked what programming language should he learn first. He said he's pretty good at Studio Logic, Control Logic 5000, the hardware Siemens, uh, PCS7. He says weakness is in the HMI type programming and Wonderware, Honeywell, Experian, etc. And I mean, I don't know a single job out there on Earth that a Rockwell or a Siemens product won't do. Um, the problem is you're paying a premium for those, right? If I was going to tell you what programming language to learn, I would absolutely learn ladder logic first. If you're talking about what program you should learn, if I was going to learn one right now, I would learn Codesys. Why? Because it's used as a backbone for so many other companies. Snyder's machine expert, EcoStructure machine expert, Beckoff, like we talked about earlier, B&R, Wago, Phoenix Contact. I mean, it's just, and not to mention Codesys themselves. But I would learn that. As far as the programming language goes, I would learn ladder because that's what a lot of your clients are going to ask you for. It's what maintenance guys know. It's what they want to see. Ironically, Codesys ladder kind of sucks. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's clunky. It's a European coding software, and it's much more capable in structured text and function block. Is what I found. So when I'm using Codesys, I want to do structured text and function block better. It just feels better. It's easier to program, and when I'm with Alan Bradley, I can zoom through ladder through it. I like ladder and Alan Bradley better because it's what it's native to. I find that structured text in Alan Bradley is a little clunky uh, for me. Just I'm not a big structured text guy. I mean, I do probably 80 to 90% of my stuff is in ladder. Um, but I am doing a lot more structured text and stuff now because I'm writing a lot more, you know, function blocks and stuff like that, using it that I can reuse in the code and object-based programming, right? So anyway, so yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to go wrong with staying with the big guys, except cost. You're going to have a hard time competing in the years that come up. You're going to have a hard time competing when Siemens and Allen Bradley want to charge what they want to charge. Eventually, they are going to lose market share. They're already losing market share, but they're eventually going to have customers who not only ask to go another route, but would prefer to go another route because of cost. I mean, you can only, what's that saying? You can shear a sheep many times, but only skin him once. Well, Alan Bradley's almost to the point that they've skinned the sheep to the bone, and we just we see the writing on the wall. So love their products, and they do a phenomenal product, but at the same time, there's a lot of products that's just as good or better for a tenth of the cost out there, or at least a third of the cost, whatever. So anyway, so that's the answer to that one. Um, so I had somebody ask, how did I start my business, and how did you change from employee to employer, and how did I get my first job? So this one's really not a fair assessment, because those who have heard me speak before knew that I grew up in automation with my father, and he had an automation company, and so I come up, from 12 years old, I started programming PLCs, and so I'm not going to act like I built. I mean, I built what I have now on my own, but it wasn't from a background of being on my own, because it was really easy in my area when they heard my name, because my name is James Dean. So they kind of remember that, but they also associate that with my father. I've had people call and say, "Is this the same James Dean from Dean Electronics?" And I mean, no, this is James Jr. My father's passed, but same family, and then it opens doors. So I can't honestly, I will not sit here and say that I've built everything from the ground up, with no contacts or whatever. But I can say that almost every one of my clients that I have now are, or at least my big clients, are clients that I've brought in and developed on my own. So the first contract um, was a contract where it was a contact from my dad's business, and that got us rolling. But that was back years ago. Now and I've told this story before. I lost everything in the downturn in '08. I mean, I lost my company. Of course, my family got sick, and I won't go into that in this one, but there's a long list of reasons why that went down. But I went back into the private sector and was an engineer for Team Technologies in Morristown, Tennessee, for a few years, which is actually where I met Eric, who is my partner now in Appalachian. Um, so Appalachian was a ground up, started by us, or I founded it, and Eric joined a couple years later. But everything that's happened there has been, on our own merits and our own basis. And basically, I had some money set aside that I could step out and try, and then I just found a way to bring benefits to the people around me. So as far as getting your work, you're not going to go out and land a monster contract right off the bat, I wouldn't think. But what you can do is you can start just providing value where you can. Where I see a huge untapped potential everywhere I go is simply in upgrading and updating outdated controls, outdated PLCs, outdated VFDs. VFDs are a big one. Um, you're going to make some money off the sales if you go out and partner with a distributor and and you become a good source with them where they're sending you clients and you're sending them business and that partner. And that's what I have with Rexel and my guys there is they understand that I'm going to send them business that I get and vice versa. And we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Even today, we go out and we'll spend 2 hours replacing a VFD, and we make 200 or 300 on the VFD, but we also make $300 or $400 on the exchange. So we're making $800 for a couple hours work. um that's we do that a lot. I mean, that happens a lot with us. Um so you don't have to set the world on fire to start your contracts and start getting contracts rolling. And believe it or not, if you know your industry well enough, there is plenty of work out there that is just consulting based, where you're going to make about an hour just to go in and help younger engineers not make mistakes. So don't be afraid of going after some of that work that's not exactly a big project. Go after that little low hanging fruit, and then work your way up. So that's the best I got there. And then the final question I got was, he says, well, it's actually a couple questions, I guess, but um, with a fair number of established vendors in the PLC and sensor and actuators, have you happened across anyone doing roll your own in-house provisions of said hardware, either using things like microchip picks or Raspberry Pis? Question two: do you have any anecdotes to share on added networked monitoring sensors to observe monitor existing industrial automation systems? And then the question three: is anyone still building electronic or electrical sequencers without a CPU or a PLC? So the first question is, yeah, we still see some that are custom made. We're actually working, with a client now, and I won't name any names or anything because I know there's some patent pending stuff going on. But we're actually working with a client right now who developed their own in-house sensors for their process, and they wanted to use. I helped them with making it PoE so that we could power it with nothing but an Ethernet drop instead of having to run cabling, because these things are all over a building. And they monitor environmental. I won't go into what they monitor, but they monitor environmental data. And so this gentleman developed it himself, and we're helping him take it to market, and we're going to be a representative for that once it's done. We've got the first ones in testing now. So yeah, there's still some stuff done. Um, if you go back Raspberry Pi, one of the things that put me on the mark on LinkedIn with Raspberry Pi was the fact that I offered to give Raspberry Pis away because I firmly believe that Raspberry Pi and Codesys added to it, it's like $100 to do that, and you've got a full-fledged IEC controller that you can learn with. Now, I don't know that I would ever use it for an application because it's not industrially hardened or anything, but you can definitely play with it and learn the software very inexpensively. So I gave I don't know, it was it was a bunch. We gave a lot of them away, 400, 500 of them, and ended up I lost track of how many people was asking for them because I offered to send them out to young engineers for free, and I know there was some that we didn't even get to send out because I forgot. I couldn't go back through the list and find who we'd sent to and who we hadn't. So anyway, so that's that. But and then the anecdotes about monitoring. So we actually have a product that we're going to be bringing out called the Mod Box, and we've got a website being developed for it now. But basically, we're wanting to bring out a product that is exactly a standalone product for data services on a machine. So what we want to do is we want to be able to bypass a quote unquote black box control system on a machine and still be able to get the client data that they need. So it's going to go on and mount just like any other control system would, but it's going to have its own sensors, inputs, outputs, that kind of stuff. But what makes this different is um, you can calibrate it and set it up as you need out of the box. So we're going to sell these things generically, to where you can go to the website or you can go on Amazon. You can go, several different places. We're going to put them for sale, and you can buy them. And you can buy a master, you can buy a slave, and they'll have X amount of inputs when we get it done. I don't know what we're going to end up on, but you'll be able to assign those inputs as digital inputs, and then the analog inputs you'll be able to assign them to be temperature or just a 0 to 10 volt or a 0 to 5 volt or a 4 to 20 milliamp. You'll be able to assign that through the HMI, and then you can data log that data, whatever it may be. You can scale it. Everything's done by the HMI, so it's very easy for a maintenance person to set up instead of having to have a full-fledged programmer. And we're working on the networking side of it with putting a cellular modem in them so that you'll be able to log in, see everything from it, and it's a subscription based thing. So you buy the cabinet from us, and at the same time you're going to pay a subscription fee. And I mean, there's a ton of people doing this stuff with the SCADA system, so it's not really different. Except the only difference is it's way less expensive to do ours because it's going to be generic. If you want 32 inputs, then you'll buy that. And then, if you want to add more, you can add a slave unit to it that gives you another 32, and we're going to do it that way. So anyway, so we're working on stuff like that, and other people have that as well. So basically, we do a lot of monitoring of machines where um, you can't break into the control system because it's a black box system, or there's environmental reasons or safety reasons or whatever. Warranty, I think it's one of the things he mentioned was voiding warranties. Um, yeah, we do that a lot. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And the last question, as far as being sequencers, I don't know of any companies that do it, but that's not our world. I mean, we're high end integration and vision and robotics and that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm sure there are companies still doing the old school drum rotator cam switches and stuff that would replace that. But I can tell you this: Automation Direct in DirectSoft 5 or DirectSoft 6, whatever they're up to now, and also in their productivity and the click, I think as well. They have a thing called an eDrum, and it's actually one of the coolest sequencers out there. I mean, it's very simple to use. It's a function block that pulls into the ladder, and if you guys actually wanted to see a demo of that, I can do a demo of what it looks like to set one up and make it go. But I've used those for years for small machines, things like a labeler or a drop seal bagger or whatever. It saves you a ton of code, and you can write multiple function block or multiple iterations of it in the ladder, and then swap them on and off for recipe doing or whatever you may do. So if you want something that's really inexpensive to do and still give you a very easy drum style sequencer, I mean, it's even called an eDrum. That's what it's called. So look that up. I mean, it's a free software. I like Automation Direct stuff. It's worked well for me for decades. So it's the first PLC I ever had, and I'm actually using some of it on the project we're on right now, along with Snyder. So anyway, yeah. So that wraps up the questions that I had, given. Let me check the phone to make sure that I haven't missed anything. But basically, I really appreciate everybody reaching out and asking the questions, and kind of being along for the ride here. And yeah, it looks like that was it. So uh, yeah. So it was really cool doing a question session like that. I'd like to do some more live stuff, or not some more, but I like to start doing some live stuff where we chat live and sort of talk in person. But it's really hard for me to do. One, I don't have a great internet connection out here. I'm actually filming this, just on my laptop, and then I'll upload it. But then I also don't have my time is real funky because I don't know what I can't set something next week at 2 o'clock because right now things are so crazy I just can't do that. So but I can do this to where you guys tell me what you want to talk about and we go from there. Um, so basically my next couple months are insane. It's going to be on both coasts and everywhere in between. And we've got some small projects we've got to knock out in between the time. We've got a couple monster projects. Um, I just read that Smith and Wesson's coming to Tennessee, so I'm going to try to get involved with them. Try to get a foot in the door there. If any of my contacts has a contact, whatever, get in there. I'd love to do some work with you in there, and maybe we can both profit from there. Also, I saw today where Ford announced a $5.6 billion, 3,900 acre campus coming to Memphis. Um, so I am extremely stoked about that. They're going to build the new all-electric F-150 there. But $5.6 billion, yeah, I would love to get a piece of that right inside Tennessee, right there in Memphis. Um, so I'm going to be working hard trying to get in the door there and doing some of that as well. So, uh, it's going to be a crazy year next year. I mean, we've already got, well, I think now we're up to, I don't know. Last time I checked, it was north of 50 million in the next 3 years that we've got looking at us, and that's just what we've got doing now. And when you start talking about $50 million worth of work, and there's 6 of us full time in the company, we've got to grow a lot. And I mean, we've got a ton of contractors we use, and we'll be able to handle quite a bit of it with that. But there's a ton of work coming, and it's getting to where it's kind of insane. So yeah, so anyway, so I'm gonna be all over everywhere. So on a personal note, I'm sure you've seen my post. The one thing I'm excited about is hopefully after the first year I'll be able to do something I've wanted to do for 20 years, and that's finish my pilot's license and get a plane. So I can jump back and forth in my own plane instead of having to spend so much time in airports and security and layovers and all that. I've got some friends on here that are pilots, but if anybody else has if anybody else is in general aviation, and when I say plane, I'm talking small Cessna stuff I can fly. We're not private jet kind of money. Um, but if anybody out there wants to chat about that, I would love to learn more from people who actually use it in their business and do what I'm trying to do and jump. I mean, we're a regional company, mostly in the South. We don't do very much. Well, we don't do anything international right now. And except for the stuff we're doing with the greenhouses, where we're traveling all over the Midwest and out west. Um, Montana, Washington, Nevada, all that. Then I don't really do a lot out there either. Most of everything we do is within a 6 or 8 hour drive from Tennessee, which would make it within an hour and a half flight, for me, even in a smaller plane. So anyway, so that's something I want to do, but hopefully I'll get to knock that out after the first year when we get done with Toyota in January, February. Then I'm gonna spend a month just flying as much as I possibly can to wrap that up and get my hours in and all that. So anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. For some of you, I'm sure the evening's almost wound up now because it's what 10 o'clock on the East Coast. So yeah, if you have any other questions, you can post below in this video on LinkedIn, or I'm gonna post this to YouTube and share it to LinkedIn. So you can hit me up there, and we'll go from that. If you want to see technical, I don't know. So I keep getting asked about technical, and that's why I wanted to do this. I keep getting asked some technical stuff, and uh, and I've said it before. The reason I don't do a lot of technical videos out of the blue is because I mean, I'm not a leading authority. If you look at some of the guys out there, I mean, I see some guys doing masterminds and all this stuff, um, who are a leading authority of what they're doing. They're very, very knowledgeable engineers on what to do, and that's not me, guys. I mean, I'm an integrator, and I can hold my own, when it comes. But like, and the example I give is these guys can tell you down to the electron level of why Bluetooth works or why whatever. They're just very, very knowledgeable about what they're putting in. That's not me. It's not how I work. I know how the components work. I know how the components that the company provides me works. So if I'm working with a Snyder PLC and I need to talk to something over Modbus or something serial or something Ethernet IP or Profinet or whatever, I can do that. It's not a problem. But I don't have time to re-engineer the wheel. I'm not going. You're never going to see me sit down and develop a user-defined um, a user-defined code for something that already has an AOI for it or an add-on profile or whatever. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to use what's out there. If a company already has all that set and done and they've got a Modbus register set and done for me, then why in the world do I want to spend the time, reverse engineering this thing and making it go? But other people do, and they're phenomenal at what they do, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But I am on a different area of expertise, I guess, in that my job is to run an automation company. My job is not to be an automation engineer. So, but if you want to talk technical stuff, I'm more than happy to talk technical stuff with you. I just need to know where you want me to go with it. And like I said, I'm not the guy that you would come and ask what the 5th iteration of Bluetooth is going to be, if there even is that. I mean, I'm totally shooting from the hip on this one, but you see what I'm saying? I'm not that type of guy who is gonna go down into the weeds with you and figure out the perfect firmware update for a 1996 PLC rack that will now work with whatever widget. It's not me. It's not my world. Um, but I am the guy who can tell you how to properly negotiate a contract, properly buy your equipment at a good price to make money, and properly how to integrate it. I mean, I can help integrate that stuff. I'm just not going to be that guy who is going to walk you through a brand new chipset that we're going to sit down and design design a breadboard with all this new components on it and make you a brand new widget. That's not me. So anyway, have a great night. I'll get this uploaded in just a moment, and yeah, I guess you'll see when I get it uploaded. So enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, later.